This two-time world champion has established a remarkable record of 26 wins, no losses, with all 26 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the undefeated WBC lightweight champion of the world, Edwin Dinamita Valero.
Meet Edwin Valero, one of the most dangerous men to ever set foot in the ring. He had the fire, the passion, and the power. Everything it took to be a legendary fighter.
Let's see if he listens to his corner.
And right hand, short right hand, knocks Pitt to the right on his back and he's in trouble.
But instead, he fell into a grave dug by his own inner demons. Valero was born on December 3, 1981, a childhood passed on the streets of Venezuela, where he robbed and stole mopeds. In total, he was in prison 14 times. Edwin began boxing at the age of 12, and the young kid was immediately noticed.
The techniques of this youngster, I can see his ability, I can see the power, I can see the killer instinct that he possessed.
He devoted himself wholeheartedly to training, wanting to learn the intricacies of his new hobby. By the age of 20, he had gained 86 victories in amateur boxing, of which 57 were knockouts, and he lost only 6 times. He was one of many, but you must admit such a large number of early victories is not a common feat. He was given the nickname Dynamite. 2001 was supposed to be the debut for Valero in the professional ring, but this was unfortunately delayed due to an accident that he was involved in. He was riding his motorcycle without a helmet and collided with a car, fracturing his skull. It took a year to recover. On July 9, 2002, barely a year after his terrible accident, Edwin Valero entered the first professional fight and literally destroyed his opponent in the first round. He repeated this victory exactly 18 times, setting a new world record, 18 wins with 18 knockouts in the first round. He fought in the real underground, Venezuela, Panama, Japan, the most vicious places for professional boxing. Edwin's impressive achievements did not go unnoticed. In 2004, an active boxer came to Edwin, looking to recruit him for his rising company, Golden Boy Promotions. The Golden Boy, the star of pay-per-view broadcasts, was Oscar de la Hoya. The Venezuelan signed the contract, but difficulties arose during a physical examination for obtaining a license to fight in the United States. Due to his head injury, he was banned from performing in the USA. It would seem that everything ended before it started. In the end, Valero was able to find a good option and signed a contract with Taiken Promotions, where Akiko Honda dominated. Naturally, in Japan, Panama, and other countries, a head injury did not excite the business movers too much. After a couple of battles, he rose to his first championship fight against Vicente Mosquera. Mosquera was a good fighter, and the fight took place in his homeland. Imagine what it's like to be an outsider fighting in the center of Panama with a local champion. This style of fight is the most difficult in the career of any boxer. In the very first round, Valero knocked down his opponent twice. There was no tactically elegant boxing. The boxers stood opposite each other and unambiguously exchanged blows.
Lo quiere medir Valero, bien la derecha y la izquierda y cayó Mosquera. Bultos que hablaban de récord inflado, señor Valero. Buena la derecha volada por el loco a la cabeza una vez más. Se faja otra vez, pero Valero pega muy fuerte. No debe sus ataques suicidas el loco todavía. Debe esperar un par más de rounds. Está cogido el loco. Y va hacia adelante, recibiendo castigo por parte de Valero. Él también conecta a Mosquera.
By the third round, the Venezuelan had also been knocked down. The spectators rejoiced. Cups and other garbage flew into the ring. The crowd exploded. Edwin looked shocked, but while the announcer reassured the fans, he managed to collect himself. By the 10th round, he had found the strength to stop the champion. Thus, he became the WBA world champion in his weight class.
Se iba a meter la esquina, se iba a meter la esquina, Mosquera se metieron, pararon la pelea, se acabó, nuevo campeón, ganó Valero.
Valero's career was taking off, and he had to defend his title 3 times. Even at this early stage, rumors of drunken brawls by the boxing champion and outbursts of rage outside the ring were reported. In 2007, it was reported that Edwin attacked his own mother and sister. It was said that simply he had a hot temper, and soon it was forgotten. Valero was known and loved in his home country. Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez was his friend, and there were many photos on the news showing Edwin and the politician together. Around this time, the Venezuelan fighter obtained his famous tattoo, bearing the likeness of the Venezuelan president on his chest. Chavez became his personal patron. Life went on, but Valero did not lose touch with America and his dream to return there one day. Dynamite was often asked to be the sparring partner of other famous fighters. It was thanks to his wild performances in training camps and his overwhelming domination of great champions during these sparring sessions that Edwin became famous in America. Everyone who watched Valero was struck by his aggression, his animal hatred, and the dynamite in his gloves. Specialists who monitored fresh fighters direct from training camps could not believe their eyes. Many compared him to Pacquiao and Shane Mosley. The guy moved brilliantly in the ring, equally dominating and working defense. But most importantly, he had a really heavy blow, while being a fairly sophisticated boxer. Edwin took part in the scandal that appeared before the battle between Oscar de la Hoya and Manny Pacquiao. According to the rumors, during their sparring session, he beat up the Golden Boy so badly that he was asked to leave the hall. You may remember how Oscar looked that night and how the match ended. Interestingly, both Morales and De La Hoya invited Valero to spar with them before their fights with Manny Pacquiao. Apparently, Edwin could perfectly imitate the Filipino style like no other. Even Mikey Garcia, one of the most promising fighters of our time, sparred with Edwin Valero.
Hey, so you sparred with Edwin Valero?
Lots of times when I was younger, when I was like 16, 17, 18. Just feel the fucking power. And he never really took it light on anybody. He was there to knock you out.
He was sparring?
He knocked a lot of guys out in sparring.
27 knockouts. Mikey, who's the toughest guy you ever sparred? What sparring session do you think was the most epic?
Edwin Valero.
Why?
He hit the hardest, man. Hardest puncher ever.
This man was so sure of himself. His power was so natural that in his mind, he thought that he can go out there and just by throwing the first few shots, he would destroy the opponent. And he was right. You can see the improvement, you can see the talent, you can see his boxing ability. Whenever he knocked out an opponent, he was always thinking.
Right.
He would always go in and execute in time and change his speed and fake and jab and change the combinations and made it change power.
Valero's return to the United States was simply a matter of time and business acumen. The old cunning fox, the godfather of modern boxing, Bob Arum, took up his case. But disturbing news continued to come. Edwin was caught with drugs, driving while drunk, and fighting outside of the ring, and his whole family was afraid of him. His wife's family was also terrified, her uncle later said. Legends even say that he got away with murder. But when your friends are the president of your country and one of the most cunning promoters of our time, how many problems can you have? In early 2009, the contract was signed. Edwin Valero officially returned to American TV, and the issue with his injury was abruptly settled.
He has the poise, even with his family coming in to the fight, Doug, as in the arena. I mean, he's
Edwin Valero got into a new weight category, and there he waited for a duel over the vacant WBC championship belt. His rival was a fairly strong Mexican, Antonio Pitalua, with a record of 47-3, with 41 victories obtained ahead of schedule. Pitalua has not lost ahead of schedule since 1995. The larger American public saw for the first time this new fighter with his crazy look and wild blows.
So this is a battle. Right? Play Olympia y buena suerte.
Pitalua was on the ropes 3 times in the second round.
Right hand, short right hand. This fight may not go much further.
He's got so much heart and so much pride. Look at him. Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay.
It will not take much. He's about to go again. Valero just in, trying to finish him off, and down he goes. And he bounces up maybe a little too soon. And
Good.
I don't think he is. A long way to go in this round. Pitalua in retreat. About 7 unanswered punches, and that's it. It's over. Just like that.
Valero became the 2-time world champion in his weight category. Edwin's fame grew, not only in the narrow circles of boxing specialists, but also in the larger audience that began to learn about him. Increasingly, Bob Arum mentioned his new fighter, and the press discussed his dream battle against Manny Pacquiao. Valero himself wanted this fight.
Didn't have an answer for Edwin's punches that came out of range.
And it was accurate, Doug. I mean, these punches are too much.
Towards the end of 2009, the champion attacked his mother and sister again. In addition, rumors began to circulate that the champion was regularly beating his own wife. Jennifer was silent, as was his family. Again, everything was forgotten. The Venezuela was given a slap on the wrist. Edwin's eyes seemed to burn more and more with each passing year, and each fight was a spectacle to behold. Indeed, there was something wild in his eyes. Eyes don't lie. It is said that each of his battles broke down into a duel of views, and this is not surprising. Dynamite held another title defense, after which he met a young and very promising boxer, Antonio DeMarco. As with his first title fight, Valero went to the homeland of his opponent, but this time he was already the champion. It was a real old-school battle, with dirty blows and flying mouth guards.
And then they do.
Selling fruit at a fruit stand. As he's round, they'll do well, although we should spots here tonight.
Valero with both hands down. Valero saying that he caught an elbow. Now he's got a gash over his right head.
Yeah, that didn't come from a punch. I guarantee you that.
Don't forget another doctor. I'm gonna see.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a major gash.
Yeah, there's no way a punch caused that.
Doctor, where's the doctor?
The champion, Edwin Valero, is made up. And he comes out, and it's
Punches from DeMarco's look good. There's big shots by Valero.
DeMarco. So many punches in combination.
But the fact of the matter is, he is showing all those nuances.
Maybe
To fight him, they thought the style of DeMarco would lend itself to beating.
Between rounds, DeMarco refused to continue the fight. The elbow strike he received, the final shots of their confrontation, and the insane look of the champion's glee will forever remain in his memory. Valero won 27 fights, all of them by knockout, an ideal record for what seemed like an ideal boxer. But everything changed in an instant. After one fight where Dynamite showed excellent skills and a clear growth of his understanding of technical and boxing knowledge, talks once again resumed about the fight with Pacquiao. Valero really wanted to fight with Pacquiao, but the boxer's dream was not destined to come true. A month after his last fight, his past head injury, coupled with his constant use of drugs, did the trick.
Former lightweight boxing champion Edwin Valero has been arrested for allegedly killing his wife. The 28-year-old is a household name in Venezuela, and police have said he was arrested after they found the body of his wife in a hotel where the couple was staying. Police say Valero left the hotel room at about dawn Sunday and allegedly told security he had killed the woman. Police say she had 3 stab wounds on her body.
At 5:30 in the morning, Valero walked barefoot to the front desk of his hotel and calmly announced that he had killed his wife. She was found stabbed to death. He showed no resistance at the time of his arrest. Since Valero was allegedly drunk and under the influence of drugs, there was a risk of suicide. The police took away his shoes and jacket, but they left him with a pair of sweatpants, which became his method of choice for hanging. He was found in his cell on the early morning of April 19, 2010. He was just 28 years old. Only after the tragedy did Valero's acquaintances begin to talk about his problems with drugs and alcohol. He has extreme jealousy over his wife, whom he beat repeatedly. Bob Arum described him as completely unstable and said that he was not normal. But all these statements and revelations made no difference. The worst had already happened. Edwin Valero, a boxer of incredible talent who could have been the next Roberto Duran, instead ended up in a grave dug by his own internal demons.